All right, here we are in yet another train world. And by that, I mean in the last episode that I recorded, we were in a more of a Japan-like neighborhood. Here, we're more or less in the countryside. Which also holds a bunch of nostalgia for me. Because the countryside is more or less where I lived, and on my weekends I would oftentimes go into town, and then that is where the last recording holds a lot more nostalgia for me. So I did want to point out just a world or two of like amazing visuals, but there's not really that much to do. So, for example, here we are. There are two examples of trains. I believe one is like an oldie, like an older model, and the other one's more of a modern type. So one train you might see more often out in the countryside, just because they don't really update their models as often as the ones in the city do. And then the other one, if I can, there, is one that you might find more commonly in the city. So an example of beautiful visuals that this map provides. Just look at that. You have the grass, which on the other side would usually be a river, or at least a road, which is what that guardrail kind of indicates. And then you have one or two houses just to kind of break up the horizon. But the main attraction, the thing smack dab in the center of the map, is the trains, or are the trains. So if you come over here, okay, so the first thing some will notice are the invisible walls, the barriers that the creator put in so that you have to kind of go in some areas and not in others. The first one, if I can grab my camera again, the first one is like right here. It's like right here. I can't really move. Yeah. Yeah. Nope, can't even jump. So anyways, it's there. And because that barrier is there, entry into the orange train, that was weird. Entrance into the orange train is not exactly possible, which is unfortunate because the orange train is kind of what I would ride the most, as that would be the first and sometimes the second train, depending on what time it was during the day, that I would take to eventually get into the city, and then I would be riding more of these trains. So enough of the orange train that we have no access to. Let's move over to this behemoth. Now, to the map creator's credit, this one's actually pretty cool, because not only do you have, but you have to actually open the doors. You have a cool little control panel here. It's not exactly accurate, but you do get a sense of like what the conductor is kind of doing, being like, "Hey!" And then, in order to get into the next compartment, there is yet another door. And then, what did I say about detail? Like, this is incredible. So, not only do you have the handrails over here, handrails here, but you've got texture on the seats. Like, here, come here. Come here, camera. You've got texture on the seats. You've got the advertisements. Apparently I'm in the women's only, but that's only for a certain time period. So usually during the day, I'm good. I'm also a robot in this form, so I don't think that really matters too much. But that's what I'm talking about with the advertisements up there, right? So it's not really like, there's no real like luggage here. It's just kind of an empty space, and then you've got advertisements up here. And that's usually what I'm used to. Plus, I like the fact that you can see out these windows. Like, it's pretty cool that you get the sun glare almost on the windows because of the sort of decal that they put on there. But yeah, so as far as content really goes in this world, there's not really a lot to do per se. Like, where it doesn't have a lot of things that you can like interact with besides the doors, it makes up for in just eye candy. So it's a good. I wouldn't really call this like a good hangout world, but it is a good world for ambiance. You can come here, sit in the train, you get a nice sort of view of the horizon. In fact, I really should swap the seating position here because right now behind me is the yellow train or the orange train, ye olden train. All right, and so this is kind of what I'm talking about, where you get a nice view of the field behind, you get a nice sort of idea of what sort of time of day it is. At least I think so. Evening, so somewhat in the afternoon. Kids are getting out of school, getting in the way of my car as I'm trying to get home. Yeah, I don't know. It's just very picturesque. It's what I remember in my head, and it's what one might see in like a Miyazaki film, I guess. I don't know. Those guys, that studio does scenery very, very well. So yeah, that is pretty much all that I can show for this, besides where all the invisible walls are. That's pretty much all I can show in this world, I think, for now. If I think of something, I will amend this episode with a follow-up. But until then, I will see you in the next world.